जानी ये सफारी नहीं हैरियर है, बस 2-4 ज़्यादा लोगों का कैरियर है। Well, today we are driving the new Tata Harrier and the Safari, and well, these are not all new vehicles. These are mid-life refreshes, but they promise to deliver a new experience. So what all they've got and how good are they compared to their previous iterations? Let's find out over the next few minutes. Now let's start off with the bigger and the more expensive Safari. Now, talking of the design of the Safari, well, you can see it is quite different from the older Safari. The grille and the bumper are completely different. Here you get this very different pattern. It's a studded pattern, different from the Harrier as well, to give it a kind of a unique look. And of course, the cool thing is this LED DRL that runs from one end to the other. So it also gets the welcome and the goodbye feature. So it looks cool. Also, if I talk about the headlamp, again, nicely done headlamp unit. One thing that I like is the small attention to detail they've done with the Safari badging here. Tata refers to it as a type-in on a good-looking suit. Well, I think it's a nice touch. Goes well with the overall expensive look of the Safari. And even on the side, when I look at it, the alloy wheels are definitely eye-catchy. The pattern stands out. 19-inch size means that the Safari gets a very dynamic and an upright stance on the road. Also, when you look at the back, the tail lamps are very sleek. They run from end to end, accentuate the width of the vehicle, give it a more big and a dynamic road presence. And when you put all of it together, I think the Safari just comes across as a much better looking vehicle than the previous iteration. Of course, it hasn't changed in terms of dimensions and all, but yes, it just looks more modern and more premium. Welcome to the cabin of the new Safari, and there's a lot of new stuff here because both the Safari and the Harrier get a very updated cabin. Now, if you look at the cabin here, the dashboard layout, well, it is very different from the outgoing Safari. And what I really like is this new touch panel here. So you've only got these two physical buttons here, which is of course for climate control. Beyond that, everything is a capacitive touch kind of a button, and when the ignition is off, it's a completely black panel. Only when you switch it on, all the buttons come to life. Looks cool, gives the car a nice premium and a flush feel. Even this screen here, touch screen, well, again, you've seen this kind of a treatment on the Nexon EV, and this looks good. It has this nice floating effect, goes well with the overall design of the dashboard, and in terms of usability too, the interface is quite easy to use. The touch response is quick and the resolution is also sharp. The other good thing is this fully digital instrument cluster here, and it's customizable, so you can change the way it looks. You can also control the kind of information that comes onto it. You can also view the map. So if you have Android Auto, Apple CarPlay connected, instead of viewing the map here, wherein you will have to take your eyes off the road, you can view the complete map on the instrument cluster. Just lets you focus more on the road. So that's a nice thing to have, something that we are used to seeing in luxury vehicles. So it's good that Tata Motors has brought this in to the more affordable segment. If I talk about the finish here, they've tried to give it a wooden finish. It's a fake wooden finish. So well, it looks good, but the moment you touch it, I think this is an area for improvement. It doesn't give you the kind of tactile feel you expect from it. But the leather finish here is quite decent, I must say. Even the leather seats that have been given here, the finish is good. The seats themselves are quite good, very comfortable, what you would expect in a Safari. By the way, not just the front seats, but even the middle row of the Safari 6-seat variant are cool. So the 4 seats here, 2 here and 2 in the middle are cool. Of course, if you opt for the 7-seat version, then only the front 2 will be cool. So lot of features, gets wireless charging, gets this new rotary selector here for the modes that you can select. Also, you've got this nice big panoramic sunroof, and it's a connected vehicle, so you can access a lot of information and do a lot of stuff using your smartphone, which includes things such as tracing your vehicle, looking at the vehicle status, the fuel, and you can geofence it. A lot of that is completely available in both the Safari and the Harrier. So that again adds a lot to the overall driving experience. One good thing that I really like is while you get a USB port here, you get a Type-C 45-watt fast charging outlet. That is something good because usually car chargers are very slow. They take a lot of time. So 45 watt here, it's a good thing that Tata Motors has done. One other major new thing is this new drive selector. Again, it's got a nice design to it and it's pretty easy and simple to use. And yeah, again, something that we are used to seeing in luxury cars, but there it is in the Safari. So in terms of the cabin experience, I think it's a very well put together cabin up front. Now amid all of this, there's one thing that hasn't changed in the new Safari, unfortunately, and that's the way this dashboard is designed here. Now every time when you're driving, well, if this is an automatic, so the effect is less pronounced, but the knees constantly hit this area, the place where it's curved. And like I said, automatic, so the effect is less. But if you're driving a manual, well, in that case, the problem is going to be more pronounced because every time you operate the clutch, there is a possibility of your knee hitting this point again and again. Things that could have been better include some of the plastics, like for example here, the way the plastic has been cut even inside the instrument cluster, some other bits around, even on the outside the exterior grille, the way the pattern is painted. So these are things that just take away that last percentage of finesse from the vehicle, but otherwise I think it's a very nicely put together cabin. Now the Safari hasn't changed in terms of dimensions or the wheelbase, so the space that you have inside the cabin remains the same, which is not a bad thing because the Safari always had a lot of space and it remains the same. Like you can see, it's a 6-seat version we've got here, and as a result of all of this, it's very easy for me to find a comfortable seating position. I can also change the amount of space I have. I can push this forward, take it back, adjust the recline. I have a armrest for me. A very nice inclusion in the feature list is this new headrest in the Safari. Well, this is the one that you get in sort of the business class airplane seats. So you can curve this, and as a result of this, now on long journeys, when you doze off, well, you get support on both sides and you don't basically go while sleeping and wake up with a sprain in your neck. So yeah, good feature. So combine all of this with the fact that you also have ventilation in these seats here. What you get is a brilliant middle row experience. So you can easily be chauffeur driven here. You can choose to drive the car. If you want to seat more people, of course, you have the option of the third row. But overall, I think the Safari comes across as a very comfortable vehicle, and one of the highlights in this new vehicle is this boss mode. So if you are sitting in this seat, you're being chauffeur driven and you want more space for yourself, well, you can use these buttons and change the recline, or you can also push the seat forward, which should liberate more space for you once the seat goes completely front. So yeah, overall, I think it's a big step up in terms of comfort for the new Safari. Alright, now coming to the driving experience of the new Tata Safari, well, there is not a lot of new stuff around when it comes to driving because the powertrain is the same as before. So you get the same 2-liter diesel engine putting out 170 horsepower. This is, by the way, the same engine that also is found powering the Jeep Compass and the Meridian. What has changed, however, is the tuning. Basically, the calibration of the engine has been done, but it is just, fine tuning. Hasn't really changed the nature of the powertrain per se. So same transmission, same engine. The main thing here is that the sport mode that you get now, when there are 3 modes, you get normal, eco and sport, but the mapping, the engine mapping for sport mode is different in this update. So that is where the calibration has happened. Also, these modes affect the powertrain as well as the steering the way the steering weighs up. So in city and eco it stays the same, but when you switch to sport mode, the steering just gets heavier. It does feel artificial, doesn't feel very natural, but yeah, it does weigh more, gives you a bit more sporty feeling around corners. Talking about the engine, well, like I said, it's the same power plant, still moves the Safari in a similar way like it was earlier, which means it is not an enthusiast vehicle, doesn't shoot off the line, and but it isn't a slouch either. So yes, it's a comfortable vehicle to drive. It will get up to highway speeds with ease. It will hold on to those speeds without any complaints. So yes, all in all, a comfortable and hassle-free vehicle to drive. The transmission similarly does a good job, shifts at decent speed, and again is in sync with the comfortable positioning of the vehicle. Suspension, again, there are the mild calibration changes to the suspensions, that primarily because of the change in the wheel size and the tire. This one has a wider tire than the older Safari. So that is the main change with the suspension, but otherwise the Safari has always been known for its phenomenally good ride quality, and I'm happy to report that that continues in the new Safari. It just went over a speed breaker and the Safari takes everything in its stride with ease, so the occupants are very comfortable when you consider vehicles within this price segment. It continues to be one of the most comfortable vehicles. Again, a bad road patch that we are going through, lots of them around Pune, but in the Safari it's not that bad. That said, there is one big change, and that is in the form of the steering. Again, I'll come back to the steering, and that's because now the steering is an electric power steering, and that means, unlike the older Safari wherein you had to put in a fair amount of effort to use the steering, especially at low speeds or in parking spots, this one's a breeze to use. So yes, that convenience factor, that additional comfort level comes into the overall driving scheme of things. And as far as handling is concerned, well, it's a big, massive SUV, more position towards comfort. It's not a vehicle that's meant to attack corners. That said, you can still go around mountain roads, all of them with comfort. It is a stable vehicle, doesn't leave its line unnecessarily. So yes, you can have confidence in the vehicle. You can push it as long as you understand what it has been made for. Now, with all new Tata vehicles, safety is a big thing. They are considered to be one of the best, and with the Safari, again, Tata is taking the game to the next level. So any Safari variant that you buy will come standard with 6 airbags. However, with the top variant, the one that we are driving right now, you can have it with 7. So you get an additional knee airbag. So 7 airbags, additional safety for you, gets ADAS. So first of all, it prevents an accident from happening. So it's helpful there. And in case an unfortunate accident happens, well, you've got the safety of 7 airbags and a very safe structure as well. Now, before I go ahead and give you the conclusion for this video, let me tell you there's one interesting thing in this vehicle, and that's the new JBL audio system. If you are going to take a test drive of this vehicle, or if you're considering buying the new Safari or the new Harrier, please do go ahead and experience this music system, especially those modes. Wow, the kind of difference that comes in the sound quality, and the overall sound quality is just amazing for this price segment. So at the end of the day, should you buy the new Safari or not, and is it a good upgrade over the previous version? And the simple answer to that is yes, it's definitely a big step up in terms of design, convenience, comfort and features. Yes, no change in terms of driving, not much, mild changes, but it's a big change in terms of cabin comfort, in terms of safety, and in the way it looks. So it's an improvement in all those areas. And with all those improvements, of course, will come an increase in the price tag, which has not been announced yet, but the prices will be announced soon. I expect the new Safari to be a tad more expensive than the outgoing model. And yes, it does have all the bells and whistles for this price. It has a comfortable cabin, it drives well, all of it is good. It's just that for something that will presumably cost over 30 lakh rupees on road, I would have wanted a bit more finesse when it comes to the fit and finish with the plastics, and of course this issue with the knee rubbing against the center console is something that Tata Motors should think of addressing sometime soon. But otherwise, I think it's a great upgrade. The Safari was a great vehicle to start with, continues to be a great vehicle for people looking for a lifestyle vehicle and a 7-seat capacity as well. So yes, at the end of the day, a great choice, great vehicle, out and out, and a nice upgrade in this new avatar. But my just slight issue with Safari has always been, with the new Safari has always been, that this is still not a Safari. The Safari in its original form was an OG SUV, 4-wheel drive, go anywhere capability. This doesn't have that. And well, it's basically a Harrier with more seats, slightly different design and features now. So something that I believe is, जानी ये सफारी नहीं हैरियर है, बस 2-4 ज़्यादा लोगों का कैरियर है।